Rain lashed against the grimy windows of the old textile mill, a place I'd been drawn to for reasons I couldn't explain. I loved exploring abandoned places, the stories they held in their dust and decay. But this one felt different. Deeper inside, past rusted looms and decaying spools of thread, I found a room I hadn't seen on any floor plans. It was a stark, metal-walled office, eerily preserved. In the center stood a single, massive filing cabinet, its drawers locked tight. All except one. The top drawer slid open with a whisper of well-oiled metal. Inside, a row of manila folders stood at perfect attention. My breath caught in my throat. On the tab of the very first folder, neatly typed in a crisp black font, was my name. My full name. My hand trembled as I pulled it out. The label beneath my name read, Baseline. I opened it. It was my life. My birth certificate, my first-grade report card with a smiley face sticker, a photo of me with my childhood dog, Buster. It was all there, every mundane detail, every cherished memory, right up to this morning. My coffee order, the song I listened to on the way here. It was unnerving. I pushed the file back, my heart hammering against my ribs. Who could have done this? Why? My gaze fell on the next file. My name was on it too, but the sublabel was different. It read, Choice Point University Application. Curiosity, stronger than fear, took over. I pulled it out. This file documented a life where I'd chosen to study abroad, a path I'd considered but ultimately rejected. I saw photos of myself in a Parisian cafe, laughing with friends I'd never met. I read letters written to my parents, describing a life filled with art and adventure. A life so vibrant it made my own feel like a faded photograph. I saw a marriage certificate to a man with kind eyes, 2 children, a small, happy house in the French countryside. It was a good life, a beautiful life, a life that wasn't mine because I was too scared to tick a different box on a form. I put the file away, a strange sense of loss washing over me for a life I never knew I'd missed. The next file was labeled, Choice Point, the Proposal. I remembered that night vividly, the argument, the tears, the ring I gave back. In this file I saw the life where I said yes, pictures from a wedding I never had, a honeymoon in Thailand. But the documents that followed grew colder. Bank statements showing separate accounts, custody agreements, a restraining order. The final document was a short, terse coroner's report, my coroner's report. The file ended abruptly. I slammed the drawer shut, a cold dread seeping into my bones. This wasn't just a record. It was a warning. Each file was a ghost, a potential self born from a single decision. I hesitated, then pulled open another drawer and another. They were all filled with the same folders, all bearing my name. Thousands of them. Each one a different path, a different story, a different me. There was the me who became a musician. The file was thin, filled with rejection letters from record labels and eviction notices. It ended with a newspaper clipping about a local artist found dead of an overdose in a cheap motel. There was the me who never left my hometown. That file was thick, comfortable. It showed a quiet life, working at the local library, marrying my high school sweetheart, caring for my aging parents. It was safe, predictable, and tinged with a subtle yet profound sadness found in old family photos. I spent hours, maybe days, in that room. Time seemed to stretch and warp. I read about the me who joined the military, lost a leg, but found a purpose greater than herself. I saw the me who became a ruthless CEO, wealthy and powerful, but utterly alone. The final document, a will leaving billions to a charity for stray cats. Successes, failures, triumphs, and tragedies, all laid out in black and white. Each file was a universe of its own, and I was the reluctant guard of them all. I saw the life where I took that job offer in Seattle, and the life where I didn't. The life where I answered a stranger's call for help, and the life where I walked on by, pretending not to hear. Tiny decisions, moments I'd long forgotten, had blossomed into entirely different destinies. A missed train led to meeting a soulmate in one file. In another, it meant I was never seen again. The sheer volume of possibilities was crushing. Was there a best life? Was I living it? This baseline version of me? Or was I just the most average, the most mediocre, the sum of all my fears and indecisions? The thought was terrifying, that this reality, the one I was living, was just the default setting, the path of least resistance. Then I found a file that made me stop. The label was simple: Choice Point, the Mill. This file was different. It wasn't filled with documents and photos. It was empty, except for a single, small, silver key. There was no explanation, no story of what could have been, just the key. My eyes darted around the room. On the far wall, almost hidden in the shadows, was a small locked door I hadn't noticed before. It was old, wooden, completely out of place in this sterile metal office. My heart pounded. This was it. This was a choice I hadn't made yet. Every other file was a story of the past, a road not taken. But this was a road that was still open. The key felt heavy in my hand, a physical manifestation of an unknown future. I looked back at the filing cabinet, at the thousands of lives I could have lived, all neatly catalogued and filed away. I saw joy and heartbreak, wealth and poverty, love and loneliness. And I realized something profound. None of them were definitive. They were just stories, possibilities. The me in this room, the baseline, wasn't the end of the story. I was just the one holding the pen. My past choices had led me here, to this exact moment, standing in a forgotten room with a key to an unknown door. What happened next wasn't written down in any file. I could walk away, I could leave the key, close the drawer, and go back to my baseline life pretending none of this ever happened. I could try to forget the infinite versions of myself, the ghosts in the cabinet. Or I could use the key. I could open that door and step into a future that hadn't been documented, a path that was entirely my own to create. I looked at the key, then at the door. The fear was still there, a cold knot in my stomach, but underneath it something new was stirring. Not just curiosity, but courage. The courage to make a choice, not knowing the outcome. The courage to write my own story, one that wouldn't be found in any file. I walked to the door and slid the key into the lock. It turned with a satisfying click. For a second, I hesitated, my hand on the cool metal of the doorknob. Whatever was on the other side, it was my choice, my future, and for the first time that felt less like a burden and more like a gift. I took a deep breath, and I turned the knob.